Sarah had everything she thought she wanted. A steady job that paid well, a cozy apartment, a routine that never surprised her. Every morning, coffee at 7 a.m., work from 9 to 5, Netflix and takeout every evening. Life was comfortable, but at 32, she woke up one day and couldn't remember the last time she felt truly alive. When did playing it safe become a prison? When did comfort become the enemy of growth? If you've ever felt stuck in your own comfortable cage, this might be the most important realization you'll have today. Because what I'm about to share will challenge everything you think you know about living a good life. Subscribe to Marjan Al-Nalar and comment your favorite topic below. There's something almost magical about comfort. It whispers to us in the softest voice, promising safety, predictability, and peace. We chase it relentlessly. The comfortable job, the familiar routine, the predictable relationships, and why wouldn't we? After all, comfort feels like success, doesn't it? But here's what nobody talks about. Comfort is a master manipulator. It starts as your friend, your reward for working hard and making smart choices. You land that stable job, you settle into your routine, you find your groove. Life becomes manageable, stress-free, controllable. You pat yourself on the back and think, I've made it. Yet somewhere between finding your comfort and living in it, something sinister happens. The very thing that was supposed to be your destination becomes your limitation. The safety net becomes a cage. The comfort zone that once felt like freedom starts to feel like, well, a zone, a boundary, a barrier. Think about it this way. When was the last time you felt genuinely excited about your life? Not content, not satisfied, but genuinely thrilled about what you were doing or where you were going. If you're struggling to answer that question, you might already be deeper in the comfort trap than you realize. The comfort trap doesn't announce itself with fanfare. There's no moment where you suddenly realize you're stuck. Instead, it creeps in gradually, day by day, choice by safe choice. One morning you wake up and realize that your biggest risk of the day is choosing between two familiar breakfast options. Your greatest adventure is trying a new route to the same job you've had for years. The most dangerous thing about the comfort trap is that we're the ones who build it. Every time we choose the safe option over the uncertain one, we add another bar to our cage. Every time we say, maybe next time, to an opportunity that scares us, we tighten our own chains. We tell ourselves we're being responsible, we're being smart, we're being mature, and maybe we are to a point. But there's a fine line between being prudent and being paralyzed by the fear of discomfort. There's a difference between making wise choices and making the same choice over and over again, because it's the only one we know. Consider how this plays out in real life. You start a job that's good enough. It pays the bills, it's not terrible, and it's stable. You tell yourself you'll look for something better later, when the timing is right. But months turn into years, and you're still there. Not because you love it, but because leaving would be uncomfortable, uncertain, risky. The same pattern repeats in relationships, living situations, even in smaller daily choices. We order the same food at restaurants because we know we'll like it. We take the same routes because we know they work. We hang out with the same people because we know what to expect. Each choice seems insignificant in isolation, but together they form the walls of our comfort prison. We become inmates of our own making, and the cruel irony is that we hold the keys. We always have, but using those keys? That requires stepping into the unknown, embracing discomfort, risking failure. The scariest part isn't that we're trapped. It's that we often don't even realize we want out until it's almost too late. We've become so accustomed to our limitations that we forget what it feels like to truly stretch, to grow, to feel the exhilarating terror of not knowing how something will turn out. What happens to a muscle that's never challenged? It atrophies. It weakens. It forgets what it's capable of. The same thing happens to our potential when we live too comfortably for too long. We don't lose our capabilities overnight. We lose them gradually, imperceptibly, until one day we try to flex a muscle we haven't used in years and find it's barely there. Your comfort zone isn't just about your job or your routine. It's about your identity. When you've been comfortable for too long, you start to see yourself as someone who doesn't take risks, someone who plays it safe, someone who's content with good enough. And the more you see yourself this way, the more you become this way. This is why some people can live their entire lives without ever really living. They exist in a state of perpetual potential, always capable of more, but never reaching for it. They have dreams that they talk about in hypothetical terms. Someday I'd like to, or if things were different, I might. But someday never comes because someday requires leaving today's comfort behind. The tragedy isn't just what you don't achieve, it's who you don't become. Every challenge avoided is a lesson unlearned. Every risk not taken is growth not gained. Every time you choose the comfortable path, you choose to remain exactly who you are right now instead of becoming who you could be. And here's the kicker. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes. The comfort trap doesn't just hold you back. It makes you forget that you're capable of more. It convinces you that who you are now is who you've always been and who you'll always be. But that's not true. The person you are now is simply the result of the choices you've made so far. Change the choices, and you change the person. The question is, are you brave enough to be uncomfortable long enough to remember who you really are? Dreams don't die dramatically. They don't go out in a blaze of glory with a clear moment of defeat. Dreams die quietly, slowly, like a flame being gradually starved of oxygen. And comfort? Comfort is the hand that slowly, gently covers that flame until it flickers and finally goes out. Remember when you were younger and people asked what you wanted to be when you grew up? Your answers probably weren't comfortable or financially stable or stress-free. You wanted to be an astronaut, a rock star, a writer, an inventor. You wanted to change the world, make a difference, leave your mark. What happened to that person? Life happened. Reality happened. And slowly, your dreams got edited down to more realistic expectations. You learned to want what was achievable rather than what was extraordinary. You traded inspiration for security, passion for predictability. And society applauded you for being mature and responsible. But here's what nobody told you. Those childhood dreams weren't naive. They were honest. They were pure expressions of what genuinely excited you before the world taught you to be afraid of disappointment. Before you learned that wanting something big meant risking big failure. The comfortable life doesn't attack your dreams directly. It doesn't say give up on your goals. Instead, it says maybe later and be practical and you have responsibilities now. It convinces you that dreaming big is a luxury you can't afford. It makes you believe that settling for less is wisdom, not surrender. And slowly, without you even noticing, your dreams transform. Instead of wanting to write the great American novel, you want job security. Instead of wanting to travel the world, you want a nice vacation once a year. Instead of wanting to make a difference, you want to make ends meet. Your dreams shrink to fit your comfort zone until they're not really dreams anymore. They're just slightly better versions of what you already have. The most tragic part? You start to feel proud of this downsizing. You call it growing up or being realistic. You convince yourself that people who still chase big dreams are immature or foolish. But deep down in quiet moments, you know the truth. You didn't outgrow your dreams. You got scared of them. There's a strange comfort in complaining about your comfortable life. It gives you the illusion of dissatisfaction without the discomfort of actually doing anything about it. You can express frustration about your boring job, your predictable routine, your lack of excitement, and then do absolutely nothing to change any of it. This is one of comfort's most insidious tricks. It makes you complain just enough to feel like you're aware of the problem, but not enough to actually solve it. You become addicted to the drama of dissatisfaction without any of the risk of pursuing satisfaction. Think about your conversations with friends. How much time do you spend talking about what's wrong with your life versus what you're actually doing to fix it? How often do you say things like, I hate my job, or I'm so bored with my routine, or I wish I could do something different, and then continue doing exactly what you've always done? This complaining serves a purpose. It releases just enough pressure to keep you from exploding. It's like a steam valve that prevents the pressure from building to the point where you'd actually have to take action. You get the emotional release without the emotional risk. But here's the problem. Every time you complain about your situation without taking steps to change it, you reinforce your helplessness. You train your brain to see your circumstances as something that happens to you rather than something you create. You become a victim of your own choices while pretending you never had any choices at all. The comfortable life loves this dynamic because it keeps you stuck while making you feel sophisticated about being stuck. You're not just passively accepting your situation, you're critically aware of its shortcomings. You're not just settling, you're thoughtfully analyzing why you're settling. You're not just giving up on your dreams, you're having deep conversations about why those dreams were unrealistic in the first place. But awareness without action is just intellectual masturbation. It feels good in the moment but produces nothing of value. And the longer you stay in this pattern, complaining about your comfort while doing nothing to challenge it, the more you convince yourself that this is just who you are. Someone who talks about change but never actually changes. Creativity requires discomfort. It needs tension, uncertainty, the friction between what is and what could be. When life becomes too smooth, too predictable, too comfortable, creativity doesn't just diminish, it dies. Not because you lose the ability, but because you lose the necessity. When everything in your life is figured out, when every day follows the same pattern, when every challenge has a proven solution, your brain stops reaching for new possibilities. Why would it? Everything is working fine. There's no problem that needs a creative solution, no gap that needs to be filled with imagination. This is why so many people look back at their younger selves with a mixture of nostalgia and bewilderment. I used to be so creative, they say. I used to have so many ideas. They talk about their past creative self like it was a different person, someone who disappeared mysteriously over time. But that person didn't disappear. They were suffocated by comfort. Creativity is born from necessity, nurtured by challenge, and fed by uncertainty. When you remove these elements from your life, you remove the conditions that make creativity possible. You might still be technically capable of creative thinking, but you lack the motivation, the urgency, the desperate need that sparks true innovation. The comfortable life tells you this is fine. It says creativity is a hobby, something you can pick up when you have time, like knitting or gardening. But creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of engaging with life. It's how you respond to challenges, solve problems, and bring new possibilities into existence. When you live too comfortably for too long, you don't just lose your creative output, you lose your creative identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who makes things happen and start seeing yourself as someone who responds to what happens. You become a consumer of creativity rather than a creator of it. And the saddest part, you might not even miss it. The comfortable life is so good at making you forget what you're capable of that you stop missing capabilities you've forgotten you had. You accept your new, smaller self as your real self, never realizing how much fire you've let go cold. Your brain is not your friend when it comes to growth. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. Your brain's primary job isn't to make you happy or successful or fulfilled, it's to keep you alive. And from your brain's perspective, anything new, uncertain, or challenging is potentially dangerous. So it does everything in its power to keep you exactly where you are. This isn't a design flaw, it's a survival feature. For most of human history, stepping outside your comfort zone could literally get you killed. The person who wandered too far from the tribe, who tried unfamiliar foods, who challenged established ways of doing things, they often didn't survive to pass on their genes. So we evolved brains that reward familiarity and punish uncertainty. The problem is, we're no longer living in a world where stepping outside your comfort zone means risking death. In fact, in today's rapidly changing world, not stepping outside your comfort zone is often the bigger risk, but your brain doesn't know this. It's still operating with ancient software in a modern world. This is why change feels so hard, even when you know it's good for you. Every time you try to do something different, whether it's pursuing a new career, starting a creative project, or even just taking a different route to work, your brain sounds the alarm. It floods your system with stress hormones. It makes you feel anxious, uncertain, overwhelmed. It's literally trying to scare you back into your familiar patterns. And here's the really insidious part. The more comfortable you become, the more sensitive your brain becomes to discomfort. If you've been living the same routine for years, even small changes can trigger massive resistance. Your tolerance for uncertainty atrophies. Your capacity for handling stress diminishes. You become psychologically fragile without even realizing it. This is why people who live very comfortable lives often find themselves unable to handle minor disruptions. Their flight gets delayed and they have a meltdown. Their routine changes and they feel completely off balance. They've trained their brain to expect predictability, and when predictability disappears, even temporarily, their system can't cope. Your brain has developed muscle memory for mediocrity. It knows exactly how to navigate your comfortable life, and it will fight tooth and nail to keep you there. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you choose comfort over growth. Every time you make a familiar choice, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in addiction. You literally get a chemical reward for staying the same. This creates a powerful feedback loop. Familiar choices feel good, so you make more familiar choices which feel even better, and so on. Meanwhile, unfamiliar choices trigger stress responses that feel bad, so you avoid them, which makes them feel even worse the next time you consider them. But here's where it gets really interesting. Your brain doesn't just reward you for making comfortable choices. It starts to interpret any deviation from those choices as a threat. This is why stepping outside your comfort zone doesn't just feel challenging, it feels dangerous. Your brain is literally treating new experiences like physical threats. This explains why smart, capable people can become completely paralyzed when faced with decisions outside their normal routine. It's not that they lack intelligence or ability. Their brains are actively working against them, flooding their system with stress chemicals every time they consider doing something different. The longer you live in comfort, the stronger these neural pathways become. Your brain becomes increasingly efficient at keeping you exactly where you are. It develops what psychologists call learned helplessness, the belief that you can't change your situation, even when you actually can. But here's the crucial point. These neural pathways can be changed. Your brain is plastic, meaning it can form new connections and strengthen different patterns. But this requires consistently choosing discomfort over comfort, uncertainty over familiarity, growth over safety. Every time you make an uncomfortable choice, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're weakening the neural pathways that keep you stuck and strengthening the ones that promote growth. But this process takes time, consistency, and a lot of mental energy. This is why change often feels like you're fighting against yourself, because you literally are. Your established neural patterns are fighting against your conscious desires for growth. Your brain's autopilot is trying to keep you safe while your conscious mind is trying to help you soar. Understanding this conflict is the first step in winning the battle against your own neurology. Most of your life is lived on autopilot, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Autopilot allows you to perform complex tasks without conscious thought, freeing up mental energy for more important decisions. The problem comes when your autopilot gets stuck in patterns that no longer serve you. Your morning routine, your commute, your work habits, your evening activities, most of these happen with minimal conscious input. You've done them so many times that they've become automatic. This efficiency is great when the patterns are healthy and productive, but devastating when they're keeping you trapped in mediocrity. The scariest part about autopilot is that it's invisible. You don't realize how much of your life you're sleepwalking through until something forces you to wake up. A crisis, a major life change, or sometimes just a moment of clarity where you suddenly see your life from the outside and wonder how you got here. Breaking autopilot requires what psychologists call metacognition, thinking about your thinking. You need to become aware of your automatic patterns before you can change them. This means paying attention to your choices, questioning your routines, and recognizing when you're operating from habit rather than intention. But awareness alone isn't enough. Your brain will automatically revert to established patterns unless you actively create new ones. This requires what researchers call deliberate practice, consciously choosing discomfort, uncertainty, and challenge until new patterns become automatic. The good news is that your brain wants to be efficient. Once you establish new patterns, it will work just as hard to maintain them as it did to maintain the old ones. The key is getting through the initial resistance period, which can last anywhere from a few weeks to several months. This is why small changes are often more effective than big ones. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life, you can start by interrupting single automatic patterns. Take a different route to work. Order something new at your regular restaurant. Have a conversation with a stranger. Call an old friend instead of scrolling through social media. Each small disruption weakens your brain's commitment to the status quo and opens up space for new possibilities. You're not just changing what you do, you're changing who you are. Every opportunity you don't take doesn't just disappear, it compounds. Like money in a savings account, the opportunities you miss today create ripple effects that extend far into your future. The job you don't apply for, the person you don't talk to, the risk you don't take, these aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a larger pattern that shapes the trajectory of your entire life. Think about it mathematically. If you have one opportunity per month that could potentially improve your life by just 10%, and you consistently choose comfort over growth, where are you after 5 years? You're not just 10% behind where you could be, you're exponentially behind. Each missed opportunity doesn't just cost you what it would have given you directly. It costs you all the opportunities that would have grown from that one. That networking event you skipped might have led to a conversation that led to a job, that led to a career change, that led to meeting your future spouse. That creative project you never started might have developed skills that led to a side business that led to financial freedom. That uncomfortable conversation you avoided might have deepened a relationship that could have supported you through future challenges. The comfortable life makes these costs invisible because they're hypothetical. You can't see what didn't happen. You can't mourn opportunities you never knew existed. You can't calculate the compound interest on dreams you never pursued. So you go through life thinking you're avoiding risk, when you're actually accumulating the biggest risk of all, the risk of an unlived life. But here's what makes this even more insidious. The longer you avoid opportunities, the fewer opportunities present themselves. Success attracts success, but so does stagnation. When you consistently choose the safe path, people stop thinking of you as someone who takes risks. Opportunities stop coming your way because you've trained the world to see you as someone who says no. This creates a vicious cycle. The fewer opportunities you take, the fewer opportunities you get. The fewer opportunities you get, the easier it becomes to tell yourself that opportunities are rare and should be avoided because they're risky. Meanwhile, the compound interest of missed chances continues to accumulate, and the gap between where you are and where you could have been grows wider every day. Comfort doesn't just limit your external achievements, it fundamentally changes who you are as a person. Character, like muscle, requires resistance to grow strong. When you remove all challenge, difficulty, and uncertainty from your life, your character doesn't remain the same, it weakens. Think about the qualities you most admire in people: courage, resilience, creativity, determination, authenticity. Now ask yourself this: can any of these qualities be developed or maintained in the absence of challenge? Can you build courage without facing fear? Can you develop resilience without experiencing failure? Can you strengthen determination without encountering obstacles? The answer is obviously no. These character traits aren't personality features you're born with. They're muscles that are built through use and maintained through practice. And just like physical muscles, when you stop using them, they atrophy. This is why people who live very comfortable lives often seem somehow smaller than their potential suggests they should be. They might be intelligent, educated, and talented, but they lack the depth that comes from being tested. They have opinions but no convictions. They have preferences but no passion. They have knowledge but no wisdom. The comfortable life systematically removes the experiences that build character. It eliminates the struggles that teach you what you're made of. the failures that teach you resilience, the uncertainties that teach you faith in yourself. Instead, it offers you a carefully controlled environment where you never have to discover who you really are when things get difficult. But character isn't just about big dramatic moments. It's built through thousands of small choices where you choose growth over comfort, truth over convenience, challenge over ease. Every time you choose the comfortable option, you're choosing not to strengthen these character muscles. The most tragic part is that you might not even realize what you've lost until you need these qualities and find they're not there. The crisis hits, the challenge arrives, the opportunity presents itself, and you discover that years of comfortable living have left you unprepared for anything that requires real strength of character. You don't just miss out on external achievements when you live too comfortably. You miss out on becoming the person you were meant to be. You remain a rough draft of yourself, never edited by experience into someone truly substantial. Here's the most painful cost of a comfortable life, the one nobody talks about. You start to lose respect for yourself. Not immediately, and not consciously, but gradually, inevitably, like water wearing away stone. Self-respect isn't something you're born with or something you can fake. It's something you earn through your actions, particularly your actions when no one is watching. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you make a deposit in your self-respect account. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you make a withdrawal. At first, these withdrawals don't seem to matter. You're still the same person, right? You still have the same values, the same potential, the same good intentions. But self-respect isn't built on intentions. It's built on follow-through. It's not about who you think you are. It's about who you prove you are through your choices. The comfortable life is full of small betrayals of your better self. You say you want to write, but you choose Netflix instead. You say you want to get in shape, but you choose the couch instead. You say you want to build meaningful relationships, but you choose social media instead. Each choice seems insignificant, but together they form a pattern that your subconscious mind notices even when your conscious mind doesn't. Your subconscious is always watching, always keeping score. It knows when you're living up to your potential and when you're selling yourself short. It knows when you're being authentic and when you're playing it safe. And it adjusts your self-image accordingly. This is why people who live very comfortable lives often struggle with subtle but persistent feelings of emptiness, dissatisfaction, or mild depression. They can't quite put their finger on what's wrong, but something feels off. That something is the gap between who they are and who they know they could be. The cruelest irony is that the comfortable life you choose to protect your self-esteem often ends up eroding it instead. You think you're being kind to yourself, but you're actually being negligent. You think you're avoiding failure, but you're actually choosing a different kind of failure, the failure to become who you're capable of becoming. The first step in breaking free from the comfort trap isn't taking massive action. It's changing how you think about discomfort itself. Most people see discomfort as something to be avoided, minimized, or eliminated as quickly as possible. But what if discomfort isn't your enemy? What if it's actually your guide to growth? Discomfort is information. It's your internal GPS telling you that you're moving towards something meaningful, challenging, or transformative. When you feel that familiar anxiety about trying something new, that's not a stop sign. It's a yield sign. It's telling you to proceed with awareness, not to turn around and go back. This shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of seeing discomfort as proof that you're doing something wrong, you start to see it as proof that you're doing something right. Instead of using discomfort as an excuse to quit, you use it as confirmation that you're growing. But this requires practice. Your brain has years, maybe decades of conditioning that says discomfort equals danger. You can't just flip a switch and suddenly love being uncomfortable. You have to gradually retrain your nervous system to interpret these signals differently. Start small. Choose one area of your life where you can intentionally introduce mild discomfort. Maybe it's having difficult conversations you've been avoiding. Maybe it's trying new activities that make you feel awkward. Maybe it's saying no to things you don't want to do. even when saying yes would be easier. The key is to make discomfort a choice rather than something that happens to you. When you choose discomfort, you maintain a sense of control and purpose. When discomfort chooses you through crisis, change, or circumstances beyond your control, you feel victimized and overwhelmed. Strategic discomfort is about deliberately putting yourself in situations that challenge you while you're still strong enough to handle them. It's about building your tolerance for uncertainty while you still have a stable foundation. It's about exercising your growth muscles regularly so they're strong when you really need them. Think of it as vaccinating yourself against stagnation. By exposing yourself to small doses of discomfort regularly, you build immunity to the kind of comfortable living that leads to a wasted life. Strategic discomfort isn't about making your life randomly difficult. It's about intelligently choosing challenges that serve your growth. There's a difference between productive discomfort and pointless suffering. The goal is to expand your capabilities, not to punish yourself. Here's how to practice strategic challenge effectively. Start by identifying the areas where comfort has made you complacent. Where have you stopped growing? What skills have you stopped developing? What dreams have you put on hold? These are your target areas for strategic discomfort. Next, design small experiments that push you just outside your comfort zone in these areas. If you've become comfortable in your career, apply for a position that seems slightly beyond your current qualifications. If you've become comfortable in your social life, reach out to someone you admire but feel intimidated by. If you've become comfortable in your creative expression, share something you've made before you think it's ready. The key is to choose challenges that are uncomfortable but not overwhelming. Psychologists call this the zone of proximal development, the sweet spot between what you can do easily and what's impossible for you right now. This is where real growth happens. Make discomfort a regular practice, not a one-time event. Set aside time each week to do something that makes you slightly uncomfortable. This could be as simple as taking a different route to work, as social as attending an event where you don't know anyone, or as professional as volunteering for a project that stretches your skills. Track your progress, not just in terms of external results, but in terms of your internal response to discomfort. Notice how your tolerance for uncertainty improves over time. Pay attention to how your confidence grows as you prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought you could. Remember, the goal isn't to become comfortable with discomfort. That's a contradiction in terms. The goal is to become capable in the presence of discomfort. You don't have to enjoy feeling uncertain, anxious, or challenged. You just have to be willing to feel these things in service of your growth. This practice gradually rewrites your internal story about what you're capable of. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who avoids challenges, you start to see yourself as someone who seeks them out. This identity shift is more powerful than any specific skill or achievement. It changes everything about how you approach your life. Breaking free from the comfort trap isn't about making one big dramatic change. It's about installing a new operating system for how you live your life. Just like computer software, your current life operating system has specific default settings. The comfortable life operates on settings like minimize risk, avoid uncertainty, and maintain the status quo. Your new growth operating system needs different default settings. Seek learning opportunities, embrace uncertainty as information, and regularly challenge assumptions. But changing your operating system requires more than just deciding to be different. It requires creating new structures, habits, and decision-making frameworks. Start by creating regular growth checkpoints. Schedule monthly reviews where you honestly assess whether you're growing or just going through the motions. Ask yourself hard questions. What have I learned this month that I didn't know before? What have I attempted that scared me? What comfort zone have I expanded? Build growth metrics into your life the same way you might track fitness or financial goals. But instead of measuring external outcomes, measure internal expansion. How many uncomfortable conversations did you have? How many new things did you try? How many times did you choose growth over comfort when facing a decision? Create accountability structures that support your growth operating system. This might mean finding a growth partner who challenges you regularly, joining communities of people who are also committed to expansion, or working with a coach or mentor who won't let you settle for less than your potential. Most importantly, Learn to celebrate discomfort as much as you celebrate success. Every time you feel that familiar anxiety about trying something new, congratulate yourself for being on the right path. Every time you choose the uncertain option over the safe one, acknowledge that you're living according to your values rather than your fears. The beautiful thing about installing a growth operating system is that it becomes self-reinforcing. The more you choose growth, the more natural growth becomes. The more you embrace challenge, the more capable you become of handling bigger challenges. You don't just break free from your current comfort zone, you become someone who doesn't need comfort zones at all. You become someone who thrives in uncertainty, who finds energy in challenge, who sees discomfort as a compass pointing toward your next level of development. Remember Sarah from the beginning? The woman who woke up at 32 feeling like she'd been sleepwalking through her own life? Here's what happened next. She didn't quit her job dramatically or move to another country or make some grand gesture that would look good in a movie. Instead, she made a simple decision. She would choose discomfort over comfort in one small way every single day. She started having the conversations she'd been avoiding. She applied for positions that seemed just beyond her reach. She said yes to invitations that made her nervous and no to commitments that felt too safe. 6 months later, she wasn't living a completely different life, but she was living as a completely different person. The same circumstances, but with courage instead of complacency, growth instead of stagnation, intention instead of autopilot. That's the real secret. You don't have to change everything to change everything. You just have to change the principle by which you make decisions. Instead of asking, what's the safest choice? Or what will be most comfortable? You start asking, what will help me grow? And what would I do if I trusted myself completely? The comfortable life isn't evil. It's just incomplete. There's nothing wrong with safety, stability, or predictability. The problem comes when these become your only values. When comfort becomes more important than growth. When avoiding discomfort becomes more important than pursuing your potential. You have a choice to make, and you make it every single day through dozens of small decisions. You can choose to remain exactly who you are right now, safe, comfortable, and gradually shrinking. Or you can choose to become who you're capable of being, which requires stepping into the unknown and trusting yourself to handle whatever you find there. The comfortable life promises you safety, but it can't deliver fulfillment. The growth life can't promise you safety, but it delivers something far more valuable: the deep satisfaction of knowing you're becoming everything you're meant to be. The question isn't whether you're capable of more, you are. The question is whether you're willing to be uncomfortable long enough to find out just how much more you're capable of. Your comfort zone is not your friend. It's time to remember that you were built for more than just surviving. You were built to thrive. The only question left is, what are you going to do about it? If this resonated with you, if you recognized yourself in the comfort trap, if you felt that familiar sting of knowing you're capable of more than you're currently doing, then here's what I want you to do right now. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until you have a perfect plan. Right now, while this is still fresh in your mind, commit to one uncomfortable action you'll take this week. Just one. Maybe it's that conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's applying for that opportunity that scares you. Maybe it's saying no to something you don't actually want to do, even though saying yes would be easier. Maybe it's sharing something you've created before you think it's perfect. Whatever it is, write it down. Make it specific. Make it something you can actually do within the next 7 days. Then do it, not because you feel like it, but because you committed to it. And here's the thing about taking that first uncomfortable step. It reveals something you probably forgot about yourself. You're stronger than your comfort zone wants you to believe. You're more capable than your fears suggest. You're more resilient than your worries would have you think. One small act of courage leads to another. One uncomfortable choice makes the next one easier. One step outside your comfort zone reminds you that you don't need comfort zones to feel safe. You just need to trust yourself. If you found value in this message, if it challenged you or inspired you or made you think differently about your own comfortable life, do me a favor. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Not because they asked for advice, but because you care about them enough to risk making them slightly uncomfortable. Subscribe to Marjan Al Nalar for more content that challenges you to live up to your potential. And let me know in the comments, what's one comfort zone you're ready to leave behind? The comfortable life is always there waiting for you if you want to go back. But right now, in this moment, you have the chance to choose something different. You have the chance to choose growth over safety, possibility over predictability, becoming over being. What are you going to choose?